Hello, hello. Today we start a new book of the five books of Moses. This is called Bamidbar, and it is in English it's called Numbers, but the Hebrew word is so much richer, as always, because Bamidbar is in the desert. Numbers just means numbers because they were counted. There was a census of the people twice, and they were counted. And so the English is telling us that they were counted. But the Hebrew is so much richer, Bamidbar, in the desert. Now, the questions that arise from this is why does this book start with telling us that Hashem spoke to Moshe in Midbar Sinai, in the Sinai desert? And of course, every single word is replete with meaning. And this is trying to tell us, first of all, that they're in the desert. Okay, they're going from Egypt to their promised land, and they are now in this place. We know what a desert is, right? It's a place where there are no distractions. There is nothing for them to do. There are no more slaves that have to work 24/7 for the Pharaoh. They're not in their land yet where they're going to have to, fight off the natives and go get their inheritance and start building up their own country. They're in a place right now that where they have the time. We know that God provided their food and all their basic needs. So all they have to do is concentrate on understanding who they are, what is their purpose, what are they going to do now with their future now that they have been freed from slavery, they're free people, and they're about to start their own nation in their own promised land. So they have to really get it right before they go in there. And so God says, I love these words. With this census, we're told that they're supposed to take a census in the beginning of this book of Bamidbar. The words are Su'u at Rosh Kol Adat B'nai Israel. למשפחותם, לבית אבותם, ומספר שמות, כל זכר, לגולגולותם. Okay, so my English describes this, interprets this word as Su'u et Rosh Kol Adat B'nai Israel, as to take a census to count every member of the nation, of this congregation of Israel. But the word Su'u also means to lift up. And why would they need uplifting at this point? We have to remember what did we just read before when we ended the last books, the Sefer Vayikra, the book of Leviticus. We had just read in Bechukotai the the blessings, which we would get if we kept God's commandments, but also the curses, which were numerous and scary if we did not follow in the ways of the Torah. And I think this is a very overwhelming thing for the people. They felt like we just left from slavery, and now they felt like this is overwhelming. Can we really keep all this, all these commandments, all these things? How are we going to manage? How are we going to do this? And they might have been a little bit discouraged and overwhelmed. And when you feel that way, you just feel like overburdened. And God says, no, uplift them. How do you uplift a people that feel overwhelmed? What you do is you take them out, you call them, it says to count them each, but it says not just to count them because they're not just a number, by name, by each individual's name, and by the tribe that they come from. And then they surround, if you can see in this picture, they are surrounding the Levium, who are surrounding the Mishkan, which houses God, that they have a purpose and that they're holy, and that each one of them are there because they are who they are. They're not just a number. They are a number because they are one of a community, but they're a community that surrounds each one with their name and with their purpose and with their position. And it's really important. I mean, it's really important to know also when you count people never to make them feel like they're just, one out of 30 or whatever the number might be, 100, 1,000, whatever it is. But they're one who can only be there as that number because they are who they are. Like when anybody is, even for, let's say, work or the army or whatever, you go through a process, right? You're interviewed and stuff, and people want you when they hire you or when they put you in a position for a job because they feel like you can fill that void that they need filled. And this is what God's saying in the desert, that each one of you, you're not just important because of your tribe, you're important because, yes, you're a member of this tribe, which contributes this attribute, but also in that tribe, you are you. And only, even though that you're a member of whatever tribe, let's say you're the tribe of Dan, okay, that's very important because Dan has a unique qualities in and of themselves. But you, as a member of Dan, can only do what you can do and nobody else can. And that's why it was important. It emphasizes a few times that each should be counted by name because you're important not just as one of the community, which is always important in Jewish life. Community is very important, but don't ever forget who you are and that you are one. You are one in that number that nobody else is. Nobody else has that talent and ability. And this is, if you put all of it together, it's really important for them to do this now when they're in the desert, when they have the time in between transitioning from being slaves to going to create their own nation in their own land, is really firmly establishing who they are as an individual, where they came from, who their tribe is, and what that has given them an inheritance, genetically and in their position, in terms of the nation. And then to feel, they go out and they're counted and they're named and they form around the Mishkan, the place where God resides. Just doing that alone really reinforces them that they have a purpose. And it's really important. I think when people get down and overwhelmed and discouraged and they go into their own homes or into themselves to be depressed, is to remember, really to remember your value of who you are and in your community, and to go out and to find that and to recall that and to value that and, do what you're supposed to do, and don't be overwhelmed by it, because being overwhelmed is nothing. Just remember, you shouldn't be overwhelmed because only you can do what you can do. And if you take a deep breath and go out and look and connect and try your best, you'll do your job. You'll do your job that no one else can do. And this is a gift. It's a great gift. I mean, we are all here today. Any member of a Jewish community that is here today, you're a miracle. You are a huge miracle. The fact that you survived is not an accident, because we should not be surviving today. So you have a purpose, and rejoice in that. You might not know what it is, but I'll tell you how to do it. Do the right thing at every moment in time, and you'll be fulfilling your purpose. Don't look at, oh, well, what am I supposed to do? The big picture at the end of the game. No, it's not about the end of the game. It's about the talik. It's about the process. It's about doing what's right in each and every second, in every moment. That journey in the desert, the 40 years, was not for nothing. It was the journey that really gave them the growth as a nation, to be able to firmly establish who they are before they can do other things. And it's important. The process is what get you. You can't get there before you have the process of getting there. And if you would rush through and say, I don't want the process, you just want to get there, you wouldn't be able to successfully be there whatever that end game you think is, because you wouldn't have grown into the person you need to be when you get there. With that, I wish you a Shabbat Shalom.